Chapter 2. Mr. Bennet was amongst the earliest of those who waited on Mr. Bingley. He had always intended to visit him, though to the last always assuring his wife that he would not go. And till the evening after the visit was paid she had no knowledge of it. It was then disclosed in the following manner. Observing his second daughter employed in trimming a hat, he suddenly addressed her with, "I hope Mr. Bingley will like it, Lizzie." "We are not in a way to know what Mr. Bingley likes," said her mother resentfully, "since we are not to visit." "But you forget, mamma," said Elizabeth, "that we shall meet him at the assemblies, and that Mrs. Long has promised to introduce him." "I do not believe Mrs. Long will do any such thing. She has 2 nieces of her own. She is a selfish, hypocritical woman, and I have no opinion of her." "No more have I," said Mr. Bennet, "and I am glad to find that you do not depend on her serving you." Mrs. Bennet designed not to make any reply, but, unable to contain herself, began scolding one of her daughters. "Don't keep coughing so, Kitty, for heaven's sake! Have a little compassion on my nerves. You tear them to pieces." "Kitty has no discretion in her coughs," said her father. "She times them ill." "I do not cough for my own amusement," replied Kitty fretfully. "When is your next ball to be, Lizzie?" "To-morrow fortnight." "Ay, so it is," cried her mother, "and Mrs. Long does not come back till the day before, so it will be impossible for her to introduce him, for she will not know him herself." "Then, my dear, you may have the advantage of your friend and introduce Mr. Bingley to her." "Impossible, Mr. Bennet, impossible, when I am not acquainted with him myself. How can you be so teasing?" "I honour your circumspection. A fortnight's acquaintance is certainly very little. One cannot know what a man really is by the end of a fortnight. But if we do not venture, somebody else will, and after all, Mrs. Long and her nieces must stand their chance, and therefore, as she will think it an act of kindness, if you decline the office, I will take it on myself." The girls stared at their father. Mrs. Bennet said only, "Nonsense, nonsense!" "What can be the meaning of that emphatic exclamation?" cried he. "Do you consider the forms of introduction and the stress that is laid on them as nonsense? I cannot quite agree with you there. What say you, Mary? For you are a young lady of deep reflection, I know, and read great books and make extracts." Mary wished to say something very sensible, but knew not how. "While Mary is adjusting her ideas," he continued, "let us return to Mr. Bingley." "I am sick of Mr. Bingley," cried his wife. "I am sorry to hear that, but why did you not tell me so before? If I had known as much this morning, I certainly would not have called on him. It is very unlucky, but as I have actually paid the visit, we cannot escape the acquaintance now." The astonishment of the ladies was just what he wished, that of Mrs. Bennet perhaps surpassing the rest, though when the first tumult of joy was over, she began to declare that it was what she had expected all the while. "How good it was in you, my dear Mr. Bennet! But I knew I should persuade you at last. I was sure you loved your girls too well to neglect such an acquaintance. Oh, well, how pleased I am! And it is such a good joke, too, that you should have gone this morning and never said a word about it until now." "Now, Kitty, you may cough as much as you choose," said Mr. Bennet, and, as he spoke, he left the room, fatigued with the raptures of his wife. "What an excellent father you have, girls," said she, when the door was shut. "I do not know how you will ever make him amends for his kindness, and me either, for that matter. At our time of life, it is not so pleasant, I can tell you, to be making new acquaintance every day, but for your sakes we would do anything. Lydia, my love, though you are the youngest, I dare say Mr. Bingley will dance with you at the next ball." "Oh!" said Lydia stoutly, "I am not afraid, for though I am the youngest, I am the tallest." The rest of the evening was spent in conjecturing how soon he would return Mr. Bennet's visit, and determining when they should ask him for dinner.
What sort of messed up marriage do these people have?
I mean, if that was your wife, wouldn't you want to mess with her all the time?
Well, yeah, but at that point, it's like, just get a new wife. Don't have a wife.
You can't do that.
Right,
In
because
this
he
day
has
and
money
age.
and he...
He doesn't have that much money. Maybe he didn't have that much. The
Maybe.
whole point is that this guy Bingley has tons of money, and this is like their opportunity to give their daughters a great life. I think that she drives him so bananas that he's just like, I'm gonna just draw this out as long as possible. To the point where it actually starts to punish him because he has to listen to it, and he's like, oh my god.
That's what I mean.
Relax.
At this point, if I was him, I would be just ripping it off like a Band-Aid real quick.
I think, and her, just like, she's just so beyond relieved by the end that it actually happened. She's not even mad about it. She's just so relieved that he went and talked to Mr. Bingley that she's just like, oh, yeah, I had no doubt. Of course you were going to do it. Inside, she's just like, phew. Oh, thank goodness.
Yeah, I assume.
And maybe part of her is like that because maybe when they first got married, you know, maybe he did that stuff to her all the time. Just drove her nuts.
Maybe.
I mean, we don't
Maybe
know.
he actually would have just not went in his younger days. I don't know. I'm waiting to get more of a sense of who Mr. Bingley is.
He's just been talked about.
These chapters are so short, I really haven't had a time to really get to know the characters yet.
You did meet...
Mrs. Bennet is super annoying and Real Housewives of the 18th century.
19th century.
Oh, it was? 19th century?
Regency, England? Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't remember them saying that. I know, like, what, the author was born in, like, 1700s or something, but...
Mm-hmm.
No?
No. She's a 19th century lady.
Oh, okay. Either way.
Either way.
Can't remember what I was saying now.
Mrs. Bennet is very annoying.
Yes, she's very annoying. Mr. Bennet is super sarcastic and really just has had enough of his wife. And apparently he has one smart daughter and 4 dumb daughters. This is what I've gotten so far. Am I mistaken?
And don't forget about Mr. Bingley.
He's just a name at this point. He's a name with some numbers. He's a bank account.
He's a bank account. Hey, it's real estate too.
Fair.
Real estate.
But either way, we haven't met Mr. Bingley. I have nothing to judge him on, other than just money. But maybe that's the point, because they're kind of judging him based solely on his money.
Yeah.
But
And
Mr. Bennet
property.
does say in the first chapter, though, you can't just judge a man that quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe, is that like a theme in this book?
What?
Like, judging too quickly or focusing too much on money and status, that sort of thing. It's kind of some of the themes I'm getting. Like, is that going to be the downfall of the characters?
What, that they judge too quickly?
Yeah. Is Sir Bingley going to be like some psychopath? Tie them up in his basement and, I don't know, do psychopath things to them?
Do psychopath things to them. I can't say. Do we want to do this like we did Harry Potter, where I say I can't say?
Why not? It's
Okay.
more fun that way.
Alright, well, I can't say. All I will say is that
Until it eats me up too much. After I start getting invested in the characters, it eats me up too much. Then you can tell me, because it's gonna drive me crazy. But for now, okay.
I will say that is a very Interesting thing to say.
Maybe it's gonna be like a Cinderella type thing where it's gonna tear the family apart. You know how like the evil stepmother had the daughters and they like were fighting with each other over
Oh, like they're gonna
the
fight you over,
prince, yeah.
over Mr. Bingley or something?
Yeah. Is one of them gonna cut off a toe, fit into a slipper?
No. I can tell you that much. No
Ah,
one's
okay.
gonna chop off any limbs to fit into shoes. That is not happening.
Is Mr. Bingley gonna cut off any of their limbs to fit into shoes?
No.
Okay.
What I will say, though,
Is he gonna wear any part of them?
No.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
No. What I will say is, next chapter, we will at least meet more characters.
Okay. And get a better judge of the situation then.
Yes, we will meet some new people next time.
Well, alright.
Because we haven't even met our main character yet.
We haven't?
No.
Didn't we? I felt like Liz was gonna be our main character.
She in this chapter?
Yeah.
Was Kitty in this chapter?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because Kitty...
The girls were in the chapter, weren't they?
Yeah. Because one of them, I think it was Kitty, like, was trying to come up with some witty...
Oh, Mary was trying to think of something
Mary,
to
yeah.
say. But she couldn't quite make it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And I assume
forgot
from
about that,
from the first chapter how they talked about him putting her up on a pedestal. I'm sure she's going to be our main character.
Lizzie?
Yeah.
Mm.
She's the smart one. She's this and that.
She is the smart one, apparently. Makes you wonder about the other four. Not that Lizzie comes across as stupid, but... it just makes you wonder about the other four. How stupid are they?
Look, it was the 19th century. If you could read and do basic addition and subtraction, you were considered above average. Alright, so don't hate on them. They're very intelligent for their time.
Not hating on them. Mary apparently really likes to read, so...
See,
you know,
she
there's
can
nothing
read.
wrong with that.
That already puts her in, like, the 2nd percentile.
Thank you for watching, and a very special thank you to our supporters on Patreon. If you'd like to help support the channel, you can head over to our Patreon or check out some of the official Bibliobibuli merch. If you're new here, consider subscribing, and until the next video, happy reading.